allegedly.
You said my mother's child tore me all upside down. Trapped that old Jeffrey Lino, can't seem to turn him around. So I preach blues.
Yeah, preaching blues now. And that, of course, is the Gun Club, preaching the blues. And that's what I do here, folks. So I don't have to work. Well, you know, I mean, as the old saying goes, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And I love what I do. This would be a hobby of mine if it wasn't a job. And sometimes it does feel like a job. Because the opposition is so dedicated in smashing every once great thing about this once great nation, including, with the rest of the world, certainly didn't recognize our Second Amendment rights to keep and bear arms. And that's what has kept us free. Like it or not, folks, tyrants love unarmed peasants. Don't be an unarmed peasant. And don't go along with any of this. Gun Club. How appropriate, because I've got Larry Pratt with us. He is the director and spokesperson for Gun Owners of America. They are the alternative to the NRA, watching very closely all the legislation and rallying their troops in order to fight off these alleged gun grabbers. One of them left the world yesterday. That would be Teddy Kennedy. Larry, great to have you on the show. It's been a long time, buddy. Good to have you back.
It's good to be with you. Thank you. And speaking of Senator Kennedy, I think it's been unfortunate that in all the adulation for this great socialist, we've overlooked the fact that we still have not seen the inquest from the tragedy that he caused at Chappaquiddick when he left a young woman to drown to death.
Well, I mean, yeah.
So
let's go dig up those old bodies. You know, it's interesting that you say that, too, because we were doing a little search on the most searched for items today on Google, and yes, many of the primary searches were all going into Mary Jo Kopechnik and the murder of the young girl. I mean, he got out of that car. He didn't save that girl. He left her to drown and then tried to get out of there and cover the whole thing up. And he was rewarded by, 3-4 more decades in the Senate?
And he's a traitor who is certainly being treated better than Benedict Arnold. This guy from KGB records that eventually were made public, we know that when Reagan was president, the senator was over in Moscow offering and urging that they have him work with them to impede what Reagan was trying to do to bring the Soviet Union down.
Allegedly. I mean, allegedly the Soviet Union was brought down. I'm starting to feel like...
The fact is, it was not Kennedy's desire to see any harm come to a dictatorship, and that, I think, should be emblazoned in our memory.
Yeah, kind of like Barry Obama today and even George Bush before him. Well, I appreciate, Larry, that you're not saying anything bad about Ted Kennedy while he's still warm in the grave.
Well, I said these things while he's alive. Certainly would be glad to say them now. I remember an episode that was, I don't think this made the record books, but during the summer, of course, there are a lot of intern groups that come through universities and different programs, and they're traipsing around the hill all the time, and they get briefings from members of Congress and all kinds of other people. And this was years and years ago, probably 15 years ago. There was a briefing of some of these young interns, and at the end of it, there were some questions, and one of them asked, well, Senator, I was really delighted to hear your strong emphasis on the need for openness in government. When are you going to open your records on Chappaquiddick? He turned white, turned around, and walked out. He was, kings are not used to being told that they ain't wearing no clothes.
Yeah, they don't like that. Barry doesn't like it either.
No, exactly right.
Yeah. In fact, we've been talking on this program, Larry, about the new FCC chairman, which is an old school chum of Barry's, and we're already feeling the heat as we've lost one radio station location here in Austin, Texas. This is the San Francisco of Texas, where I live here currently, and we're fighting a valiant battle, I believe, but But you could say anything on the radio about George Bush, and everybody was cool with that. The second we started talking about Barack Obama, I started losing stations, affiliates. I mean, it's incredible. I have been chased like a dog for the last year by these people who don't want to hear anything bad about them and the fact that they're nude in front of the world.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they don't really believe in free speech. They believe, well, they're elitists. Many of them, too many of them, have been to Ivy League colleges, as has Obama. They're taught that the country is rotten to the core, the cause of all the world's problems. The capitalism is a horrible thing, and what we all need is to spread the wealth. And, of course, the one little detail that they seem to pick up on is that the wealth spreader is the one that kind of retains a generous helping. And so then you see the president sit under a preacher who preached liberation theology at him for 20 years. Liberation theology is easily defined. It's Marxism wrapped with a few words that sound like Christianity. And it's just an extremely hate-filled, it's okay to kill the bad guy because that's real liberation. That's what liberation theology is all about.
But you can't
no wonder they were buddies with the black Muslims.
You can't say National Socialism. You can't mention Hitler. You can't even use the word socialism, or you're a racist. I think John Stossel wrote a great article about that yesterday. Anyone who criticizes the president, is a racist. And my reply is Obama's black, but I guess he is. I didn't know that.
I thought he was half white.
We won't go down that road. But, the funny thing is...
These people, by the way, are obsessed with race, and I think it's a very simple explanation.
Well, hold on a second.
They have no arguments, and so they've tried to make this into the 21st century's trump card, that when I'm losing an argument, I call you a racist, so that'll shut you up.
Predicted early in 2008 would happen. That's not a big surprise. The point I was trying to make is, I've had a lot of people from Europe on the program, and they've been talking about socialized medicine over there and how Europe has been completely socialized, and it's acceptable now to call them, the socialist union or socialist states, whereas it wasn't leading up into all of that. It was, again, heresy to even say the word socialism, and then you turn around and, let's just acknowledge the fact that we're socialist regimes here.
The socialists seem to come to power everywhere by lying. They tell people that they're mainstream and the tradition of the country, nobody here but us chickens, and then when they get inside that chicken coop, you realize you just locked the wolf in.
Right, but don't talk about it until we've got it all done. We don't want you exposing us before we're finished here. Well, we better talk about gun grabbing and gun legislation,
we were getting
Larry.
Getting there because socialized medicine means loss of privacy, which means you're going to lose your gun rights because of anything that they can find in your medical record as an excuse. No trial is just gone. And one of the favorite tricks in Washington for lots of legislation, undefined powers for regulation to be written later, and it would be under the authority of the regulator-in-chief at the Department of Health and Human Services, the Kansas governor who didn't like the state having a concealed carry law, radically anti-gun, anti-constitutional, Kathleen Sebelius. She'd be the one writing the regs. So, you got guns in your house? Well, that's really dangerous. We're going to have to put a $10,000 surtax on you.